So race-wise, I don't feel like there's anything that people don't know about white people. This works really well in the reverse
Right.
and not well speaking as a white person.
Uh-huh.
Culturally,
Mhm.
I can answer this, not
Mhm.
as a white person.
Mhm.
Um, but because of the traveling that I've done,
Mhm.
um, I've interacted with a lot of different cultures,
Right.
and a lot of them. So here's the story. When I was in Berlin,
Mhm.
making friends, living life,
Mhm.
getting to know people, letting people get to know me, one part of my life that I realized none of them, 99% of them, were never going to understand was my evangelical Christian background. I didn't realize how American that was until I was surrounded by Europeans who were just like, I mean, they just have no concept of it, literally, unless they've seen it in some movie, but then it's not even real to them. So for me, with my I'm an ex-evangelical,
Oh,
and
okay.
with that background
Uh-huh.
and the baggage that comes along with that, I mean, it's a big part of who I was, and it is a big part of, I mean, it made me who I am in a lot of ways, and
Mhm.
I had this, and then I left it behind,
Mhm.
and I had this realization one night that nobody there would understand that part of me, which was such a big, influential, important part of me.
Mhm.
And at first, that was a really, really lonely realization.
Mhm.
But then I thought maybe it's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
Maybe maybe it will help me move past the baggage
Mhm.
or move past some of the things that I can't escape when I'm in America with it.
Right.
And maybe this is actually a chance for freedom
Mhm.
instead of a chance for loneliness.
Right.
And it's probably both, but yeah, that's my
Mhm.
cultural answer.
Mhm.
So race-wise, what I heard you say is that people know a lot about there's a lot out there, and people know a lot about Caucasian folks, white folks, right? But maybe not so much the American evangelical Christian, and that is something that you found um, something that you found interesting when you were in Europe, and at some point also somewhat isolating because maybe people didn't understand your experiences and maybe the background that you had. Um, but but at the same time, you think that it could be liberating. It could be freedom for you where you're not constrained by this label um, that you have had, as an American living in America. So what I think is also very interesting is that I am an evangelical Christian. I'm a pastor's wife, and something that I continuously struggle with is the fact that our faith or our the doctrine that evangelicals subscribe to do not does not leave room for our humanity, right? Our faults, our failings, our frailties. Uh, it's 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 very rigid, and so I understand where you're coming from, and I I question myself um, a lot about the doctrines that the church puts out. But I think as a Black person living in this country, um, it your color is front and center wherever it is that you go, whatever it is that you do. Um, and just one little anecdote here. When I first came back to the US after living for 4 years in Tanzania, I realized I was Black at the airport. When I tell people that, they laugh at me. I'm like, didn't you know you were Black before? Of course I knew I was Black, but it's like when I got to the US, the airport, whatever, whichever it was, I realized, hey, oh my gosh, I'm Black again. You know, race is front and center above everything else. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how educated you are. Doesn't matter how much money you make. You are still a Black person. And you need to be aware of that because it can get you into some kind of trouble that you had no idea was coming. But on the flip side, I still feel very privileged to be in this country. I feel um, very that I've had opportunities um, that maybe others have not had. That might be because of my education, but I realize that and I don't take it for granted. Um, but at the same time, I know what some of those opportunities took for me to get them. You know, yeah, it's complicated. It's very complicated living in this country. I think whether you're Black or brown, it's a complicated existence in America.